Well, hello, 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 and welcome everybody to another episode of ZBrush Live. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me okay and hear my voice. So if you can, and you're on one of the stream services, be it Twitch, YouTube, or what's the other one? Facebook, yeah. If you're in any one of those services, please let me know that you can hear me okay, and then you can see my screen. In the meantime, like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all the internet things. All right, cool. All right, so good news is I don't know how I've survived without it for so long, but I have a Stream Deck now, so I can do these kinds of things, which is kind of cool, and I'm still figuring it out. I'm going to be adding some new stuff too, so hopefully you guys are looking forward to that. But enough of that, and let's go back to the stream. So you guys can hear me okay? Good. So YouTube is good. And let's see. Sounds good indeed on YouTube. That's great. How about on Twitch? Anybody on Twitch? That's kind of, I think, once one of them sounds okay, then the rest are okay too. But let's just make sure that it's good on Twitch too, and then we'll get going. So today is episode 10, and the 10th in the series of doing the ATST, this thing right here that you see over in this image. And today is going to be the final image, stream on this topic, and then we'll start a new one in a couple of weeks at my next stream. So looking forward to finishing this thing, have some fun things planned. Okay, Twitch is good, so I'm going to go ahead and just blast on. All right, so I made a little bit of a scene for my ATST, just kind of really simple, kind of using ZModeler, made this, and then used the surface noise to kind of add some detail here, and did some manual detailing as well. I used the kind of the dynamic system to kind of create some of these bricks, and I might create some other rocks using that same system, depending on how we're looking. And yeah, and so the next thing I want to do is maybe add some ivy on here, just to kind of add some vegetation and stuff like that. And I'll probably do a little bit of grass and stuff using fiber mesh as well. So I don't really want to spend too much time doing this stuff, but enough just to kind of have some sort of a background, so there's something to look at behind the mech. So this piece right here is actually a combination. So I'll just solo it out so you can see it. This is just a combination of all of the different things. So this is its own subtool, and this is its own subtool, and this is its own subtool. But what I've done here is I've combined them and have a low-res version of them, just so I can do the ivy, and that's what we're going to do next. And to do that, I'm just going to go into Z plugin, which is just the plugins folder, which is over here in the menu. And I'm going to use this plugin called Ivy Pro. And if you guys are interested in it, I can put the link in the chat. So if anybody is interested in the chat, let me know, and I'll put the link for it. But it's a pretty nifty little tool. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and load in a preset for it. And it comes with a bunch of presets. I don't really need to do anything. I don't have to create anything. I just have to use one of the existing presets. So here I'm just going to go in and ZBrush and Ivy presets and Engendra. I don't know exactly what the pronunciation is, but I'm just going to use the first one that's there. It works pretty good. It kind of comes in a little bit small, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. So here under the settings, there's a boatload of different capabilities and things, but I don't really use any of them. I just basically mess with the scale and maybe the seeds. So let's start with the scale. I'm going to double this up to 2. I just want these things to be bigger. And also, I've put in a person here, and I always do that just to kind of get an idea of scale, because you want things to kind of match that scale, right? Okay, so, and then it's just as simple as, okay, we have this subtool selected. We say base mesh select, and that does that, which is, again, a very simple process. And then just make ivy. That's it. That's all you do. And then bam, there it is, right? Let's see kind of what this looks like. If I just do a quick BPR, I can see, all right, that's okay. It's a little bit too big, I think. If I look at the person, I think they are a bit too big. So 2 was too big of a scale. Let's go down to 1.2. Let's try that. And the ivy is created in this folder that I don't really need. So I'm just going to delete that folder and do another generation. It's pretty fast, so I don't really have to spend too much time on that. We'll say always okay for that. Hopefully we will not delete a folder by accident later on. And then, yeah, so just let's make ivy again. And there is the second iteration. This kind of looks a little bit more like it, but this one's actually a little bit too small. So this is like some sort of maybe alien bush or something like that, but it's a bit too small. So we're gonna do it one more time, kind of find maybe a happy medium. So I'm gonna delete all here as well, and then just go to, let's try 1.5. That should be okay. And again, let's go back to our mesh, make ivy. And there we go. It just created a new one. And I kind of like these ones that hang down. So this is a keeper, right? But I want some ivy other places. And there's another way to do that. And that's by using the transpose line. So turn on the transpose line. And let's say I just want some ivy over here. I just draw the transpose line like that. And then just go make ivy from transpose line. And just as simple as that, put some up there. That is looking really, really good. Let's do one more. Right here, like that. And then let's see if this works too. I don't want to create too much of this just because it'll slow down rendering, but this actually works really nice where it kind of goes inside a bit. It's on both sides, so that looks good. I think we're done with ivy. It's just as simple as that. And then I can decide whether or not I want to keep this strand that's hanging this way. It's kind of neat, it works, so that's good. Now there's a bunch of ivy here in the back that I don't really need, and I can get rid of it. It doesn't look like there's that much of it, and there's like the spillage that's going outside for some reason, but that's fine too. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take all these ivy pieces, and so there's just 3 of them, right? So did I put it on the folder? No, there's 3 different ivies, so here's one. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the select to just deselect whatever's behind that I'm not going to see because I don't really need to have that take up any room. And I think if I do the solo, you'll see that this is the one I'm looking at. Because there you see some other ivy, but that's from the other iterations. And then I'm just going to do one of these guys just to kind of cut off these edges. Actually, I kind of like the spill on the side. I'm going to keep that, but maybe get rid of, oh, well, let's get rid of this first. Oops, did the opposite of what I wanted to do. And I don't know if I am, yeah. Okay, I think I'm on the wrong one. Okay, I think this is the one I want. And this has all of the other things in it for some reason. So let's just put all these guys into one folder. I don't need a bunch of ivy folders. I just need one. That makes life easier. So now I'm just going to, I can combine some of these too, but so, you know, sometimes if I do that, it loses the textures, and I don't want to lose the textures. So I'm just going to go by each one and do the editing. So start with the top one here and just do one of these guys. All right, and then go down to the bottom. I think that deleted some of it. Do that again. Here I'm just kind of doing the selection, and then do this, and this one is just over here. And I don't know, is solo on? Did this turn off? Okay, let's turn this on because I can see the back. Okay, I don't really need anything here, so I can get rid of all this. And then move down one, get rid of all that. And I wish there was an easier, faster way to do this, but it's really not that big of a deal. I'm actually not going to do that yet. Go to here, and let me, yeah, Yeah, this is fine. Let me just solo these out kind of to see. That one's fine too. And let's see what this one does. That's good. How about this one? That's good as well. I think the culprits are on the bottom. Solo, yep. All right, so this is the one that needs a little bit of editing. So we'll get rid of this part and this part as well. Like so, okay, and I think there's, the reason why these are still there is because there's more of them, because the leaves and the branches and whatever are different. So here I'm deleting another chunk, and then the last one will get rid of the rest. There isn't that much happening on the back this time around. In other iterations, I did get some stuff in the back, a lot more than what I have here. So let's do this. Okay, so I think, let me do a delete hidden here just to get rid of all the stuff I don't need. Go up one, let's turn that on. I think this one we didn't delete. Let's see. Nope. Solo this out, see what's there. Okay, so we did do this one. So again, delete hidden. And then this one right here is, I think, the one we missed. So not a big deal. Oh, no. There's one more, and it must be this one. No, is it this one? How about that one? No, no. Just kind of cycle through these. I'm using the arrow keys just to go up, walk up the branches here. Here we go, it's this one right here. And I don't know why it's up there, but it doesn't matter. Easy fix. Delete hidden. And I don't know, does that, okay, so let me see if this works. Apply last actions to all visible subtools. Would like to, yes. So that's up. All right, okay, okay, okay. Oh no, I hope I didn't, oh, here we go. Okay, it did it. So basically it came up with that error message because some of the things didn't have any hidden objects, so not a big deal. All right, so now we got our ivy. Let's do a quick render to see what that looks like. Ken, you're saying you need to relearn ZBrush? Well, yeah. It's like riding a bicycle, it'll come back to you. That looks good right there for the ivy. So now let's do some grass, and for that I'm just going to, again, pick this bottom piece. And just solo this out, and then all I got to do now is just mask the areas I want the grass to be. So maybe kind of over here on the edge, maybe a little bit over here like that, to bring back the ivy so I kind of can work around it. So maybe have some here, maybe have some kind of in these crevices or crevasses, however you want to spell that or pronounce it. Here we go, put some over here. Definitely want to put some around the rocks and along kind of whatever visible edge there is, because you don't want to kind of have a hard edge showing anywhere. You kind of want to camouflage it. So this is kind of like a little bit of environment design. I don't know if you guys knew, but you can do this in ZBrush as well. ZBrush is so versatile, I guess, and you can do so many different things with it. Yeah. All right, so for this, it's just as simple as just going to fiber mesh here. And I guess I'll just go to the filters and just start with something. So here's one that kind of looks like what I need. There we go. And then let's just, I don't want to do that. Where's Lightbox? I guess I'll choose comma here. All right, so that kind of created this as a preview. And that's looking okay. And if I want to remove some of it, like here, this area kind of, I don't need it. So let's just do preview again. So that's gone. And you just basically paint on where you want the fiber mesh to go. Now the fiber mesh will conform to the angle that you had. So that's why it's kind of jutting down the bottom here. And do I have double on? I don't. Okay. So what I want to do here is just kind of make sure this is level and I don't have perspective on. And if I turn preview on, oops, want to save it. Turn preview on and off. It will redo them based on that. Okay, so the placement of it looks good, but it's kind of way too big. I don't know why I'm getting these ones on the bottom, but it's an easy fix. Maybe because I maybe masked some of these rocks on the bottom, that's why. All right, so let me just go turn the preview off here and make sure that I don't have any masking pointing downwards. And again, just painting that mask off. Gets rid of that. And I mean, I can get rid of it when I turn it into Geo, but I'm just kind of wanting to do that beforehand, just especially in these kind of like crazy areas over here where it's, coming out. Let's see. All right, so over on the edge, I think I know where the other stuff is. So I'm gonna turn preview off. And I think oops, didn't want to do that. I think part of it is over here. So just get rid of that masked area. Get rid of this masked area. See, these ones are pointing downwards, so it's just going to shoot downwards. And there was another area over here. I'm going to turn double on just for a second so I can see kind of where the downward pointing areas are. And yeah, I think it's just these kind of, the building structure has some masking on it that's causing the ruckus. All right, let's do that, see where we are. I'm going to turn double off, turn preview on. Yeah, it's a lot less, that's good. So that, I'm happy with the placement. Now all I got to do is deal with making these smaller, and that's just done with length. So I just want to make the length a bit less. That's too little, maybe a little bit more than that. That looks okay. All right, so again, I'm just looking at the person in here, and it looks like the person's completely covered by this grass. So I don't really know if I need it to be that long. Let's kind of go down a bit. I think that's okay, maybe a little bit longer. No, okay. I might have to type in a numerical value. I'm just going to look at this from the front. So this is like some sort of bush or some sort of grass that grows on there. I think I need to go a little bit less. So let's go to about 100. Let's see what that does. That's looking good. Maybe let's try 80. 90, I think, is going to be what we want. All right, so now we have the length taken care of. Now we got to look at other things. So this is the width profile. So this is kind of what the width looks like. I don't really need it to be like that. So that works out to be good. And let's do a render here just to kind of see how we're looking. BPR. And this is kind of, I've got the guys sitting down and the legs of the mech as Z-spheres. So that kind of gives me a little bit of a reference. But let's just do a quick BPR render, see what this looks like. And it's looking okay. I'm wondering if I need to add anything else on here. I think that is fine. I think that's going to be okay. All right, and I do have, another experiment that I want to try, which basically is having a water volume that's just going to be under here, just kind of showing up a little bit. And I'm just kind of seeing if there's anything else I can do to make this a little bit more cooler. All right, I do see some things I can do, which is maybe apply some masking over here on the ground. And again, I probably will have to go in and delete the masking from, and this is so if we see inside, like we don't see these hard edges, that we see something kind of breaking this border up. Right, we got some there and we got some there, but I know that I did get some on these structures, which I do not want. So I'm going to make sure I unmask these corners of the structure. Oh, and let me make this smaller while I'm thinking about it. Sorry about that. I usually do that before the stream, but this time around I didn't. All right, so where are you? Settings, yep. And what we want to do is go over here. Oops, I want to do that. Oh, oh boy. I'm clicking on the OBS window, and the thing is here. All right, that's that, that's that. And we just want to make this smaller so it doesn't take up the entire screen. Something like that. That's good. That's good. Okay. So back to the action here. I just want to make sure that I've got some masking over here that I want to get rid of on the corner. Like so. And I think that is good. All right, let's do the preview again for fiber mesh, see what that is going to give us. Fiber mesh preview. All right, that's good. I don't know why because I'm a solo. All right, there we go. That's what that looks like. And I think I can thicken this area just a little bit more. Oops. What am I selected? Okay, this one. All right, I just want to add a little bit more here, like that, and maybe a little bit more here. I'm just, the stronger the mask, the more of the grass there is. Maybe there's some over here as well. Just kind of splatter it around, do some good distribution. And let's preview it again. All right, that's good. And let's see anything on the bottom. Nothing horrible. See, this kind of makes it look better on the inside. And also, this is a passageway, yes, but sometimes there are areas where there is a little bit of grass. I'm just kind of lightly just masking this area so there's like some blades of grass in there. Similarly over here, maybe on the edges of where these rocks are. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's okay. Maybe a little bit more over here. All right, I think that's going to be okay. Now let's look at the density of the grass. Because all this is going to be converted to geometry, and the less of it we have, the better. And also, it's kind of twisting up. I don't want that twist. So I can fix all that in here in the settings for fiber mesh. First of all, I don't really need to see this graph anymore. And where is the twist? 180. Wow. So add a little bit of twist, not that much. And also, the width, I can reduce that with coverage. Maybe to that. Let's see what that made it look like. Okay, looking good. And let's see, scale roots, scale tips, slim. I don't need to do any of this stuff. I don't need to do any revolving. We did a little bit of twist. This is the gravity, and the gravity is good. I think it kind of is pointing in the good direction. All right, so this is good. Let's just go ahead and accept this. So when we accept it, it's going to convert it to geo, and there it is. So now I've got that as geometry, and I also have the ivy as geometry. So I don't need to do any more environment work. I think that's going to be plenty. So now I can just jump to, and I don't really need this piece anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this piece and put it here at the bottom and just hide it. Okay, so now I've got this as my scene, but I don't really want to see this object, so I'm going to move off of it to another piece. Okay, so the environment is over here, and it's on. So if I select, let's see, I think I've got some of it up here too. So here, so this out, there's that. So this is what the thing looks like detailed, the temple. Then I don't know why I've got two of these. I don't need two. So I'm going to delete this one. Do a little bit of here. I can maybe reduce this to 10. Objects visible, and then just scroll up to here. I did have some other ideas that I might do or not, but I haven't decided yet. So this one over here, let's just make sure one of them doesn't have subdivision level or something. Okay, this one, I just don't need it. Delete, okay. All right, that's gone. And this rock, we'll see what that does in a minute. Let's go back to here and let's turn solo off. Okay, so this is kind of what my scene looks like. This rock here is going to be subtractive. So if I turn live Boolean on, you can see that that is kind of cutting out this piece in here. And then these other things here, I don't know if I'm going to use them yet or not, so I'm going to turn them off. But you can see what that rock did, right? So it's basically just created this kind of breakage, which kind of makes this kind of entrance look a lot more realistic. And I can duplicate that rock. and also set it to be subtractive and move it. Let's go back to the gizmo, to the Guillermo or gizmo. And as I move this rock, you can see like I can do the same thing to this corner, which I'm not going to do because the ivy's there. But maybe this corner over here, like that. Right? So maybe like things are shooting at it and it creates this dent or whatever. Let's see if I move it up and around, what that would look like. I can rotate it. See, maybe there's a big gouge taken up top. I don't know if I want to do all that. I think I kind of like the ones around the door. I think I like it where I put it, which is down here. So I'm just going to do that again. Make it a bit smaller. And maybe just kind of taking a little bite out of this area. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to combine these into one. So I'm just going to merge down. Okay, and there's that. And I think that's pretty good. I might do some rock alphas on here. Depends on kind of where our angle is. But that's good right now for Booleans. So I'm going to render this in redshift, and I don't think Booleans work in redshift yet. So I'm going to mask that one and move this around to where I want it to be. That's good. And then maybe if I do one more of these somewhere else. And I can rotate that rock and get all sorts of different angles. And let me turn live Boolean on so I can see where it is. I don't know why I brought this one all the way out here. That's wild. Okay, so let's just move this into this area, turn live Boolean back on. And yeah, that kind of looks cool. Maybe another part of the blast was over here. And again, I can just turn that rock around to get like a nice effect. You guys are being pretty quiet today. Feels really kind of no interaction. So if you guys have anything you want to talk about, definitely chime into the chat. I'm sure that what I'm doing is pretty amazing and you're dumbfounded, but it'll kind of be cool to hear some people say some stuff. Okay, so here are the three pieces that are going to be subtractive. So let's go ahead and do that. I guess I know now why I created a copy of this. I'm going to duplicate that one more time. And I'm going to put that on top here just because I want to have a copy of this that's pristine. Okay, and then hide that. So here's this one, and here's the subtractive stuff. And I'm going to hide the environment as well for now. And where did the fibers go? Okay, I'm going to move those into the environment as well. Okay, actually, it should be with the ivy. Let me bring the ivy up to top of the environment. Okay, and then this is kind of the middle leg construction, and this is kind of that one piece. Okay, so we don't really need to see the environment or the ivy. All we need to do is see, and we don't need to see the Z-sphere piece yet either, or the people. All right, so I just need to see this. And then what I want to do, all that is in this folder right here. And the best way to do Booleans is to do them in a folder. So these are the only things that are visible. So I'm just going to go in here and say make Boolean. I don't know if this is going to work, but let's try it. Boolean folder, it might complain. Nope, it is doing it. Awesome. All right, let's see if we get a result. I should have saved before I did that, but that's cool. Okay, it did it. And it should have given me a mesh that's outside, and here it is. Oh, I love you, ZBrush. Here it is. Okay, so I've got this piece done. All right, and I'm going to do a little bit of painting on this. I haven't painted this yet. So to do that, I'm just going to hide all the stuff. Here it is. I'm going to move this into environment and go into the environment, show everything, and do a little bit of painting on here, not too much. Let's go ahead and pick a paintbrush. Go into brushes, paint. Oh, what is going on here? I think it's waking up my hard drive up. I should save right after I do this. Right, here we go. And let's use this brush right here. Actually, no, not that one. I had a better one, which is this one right here. Okay, I'm going to use this one. And let me do a quick save just so we have a did some work. We don't want to lose Ivy and all this other stuff that we did. I was in the hospital. I had really a nice scene for Warcraft character. Okay, that's great. Hopefully you're feeling much better now that you're out of the hospital. And here's this. Okay, so now we're just going to paint. So I got to pick a good color, and I'm just going to wing it here. Usually I have reference that I pull color from, but I'm just going to, kind of start out with maybe kind of a pinkish hue for concrete. Okay, and do let's make sure RGB is on. Yep, do a fill object. So there it is. And then what I want to do now is just maybe pick a grayish color. And let's see what that looks like. Looks good. And start doing some of the tricks we did before, which is going in here and masking. So where it is, masking, mask by cavity. Where are you? There you are. Bam. Okay, so all the cavity is masked. And I want to invert that mask and do a fill object. And let's see what that produced. Okay, so now it kind of gives me a little bit of variation in here, which makes it look cool. And then maybe do some painting on the outside of this. Maybe it's a blast or there's like some marks. So I'm just going to pick a darker color, maybe like that. And it's kind of cool because I see what it looks like here. And oops, it's just too small. Pick a bigger size brush and just start, doing a little bit of detailing here. Nothing fancy. Just little happy trees. I don't want that color. And then I'm also going to double up with my colors here. And for the background, choose even a darker color. Right now it's going to be, that'll work. So now I can just kind of paint the darker color and the lighter color just by holding down the Alt key, which works out really nice. So here, just kind of do some of this. And that's a bit too much. Good old undo. Yep, I know. I like how ZBrush warns you, hey, you're doing a lot of, you did a lot of work that you're undoing. So, but it's good that it notifies me so I don't accidentally lose stuff. So here I'm just kind of doing a kind of a darker border around where the blast is on the inside as well. Just like that. Same here. And then I'll do the lighter color outside, but I'm going to make the brush much bigger and just do like, here we go. Something like that. Again, color in the inside here. Maybe like so. All right, so that's kind of looking cool. Like maybe there was some blast or something. And that's, I think, the extent of what I want to do here. Maybe, I think the contrast might be a little bit too little, so I'm going to go ahead and change the contrast. And to do that, I'm not going to recolor it. I'm just going to use this, where is it? I think I might not see it because it's over to the right here in my UI, but I can scroll. By using Control, I can just scroll this to the left. If I can get to a place where I can do it. I should create a handle area here for me. Here we go. All right, no, I guess it wasn't there. Where did I put it? All right, adjust colors. It's right here in the middle. Okay, so now I'm just looking at this thing, and what I want to do is just increase the contrast a bit. So here I'm just going to see if the RGB intensity, let's just keep that at 0. Maybe the contrast is right here, so let's just kind of do a little bit of this, and that creates an interesting contrast. And I'm just going to say okay, there, that looks kind of nice. Added some darker hues here, and then I can just go in here and just touch it up just a smidge, like so. All right, so that's all I'm going to do here. I think that's good enough. I might just kind of do some small kind of lines. You turn lazy mouse on with the lazy radius up high. Just maybe do one line like that. Just kind of bring out that division. And maybe hide the fact that this one's kind of going right through that brick, which wouldn't happen, but a little bit of paint can hide a lot. All right. Here we go. Just adding a little bit of color up here, and just maybe a little bit over here, like so. And just randomly add some lines here just to break it up. And I don't like that all these are the same kind of size, so I'm going to get rid of some of them. And reduce my brush size and try again. Okay, same warning, but we're good. And just, do some random let's try this one more time. Okay, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good. All right, so there we have the wall done. Now let's go over to these rocks over here and see if we can just kind of fill them with a color, and that'll do them. Okay, these fibers I don't really need to do anything for, but here are the rocks. And for the rocks, I'm going to pick this color over here. Let's just find one that works. Like that, and then fill object. So there are the rocks. They're too light. I can do one of two things here. I think I'm going to try and see if I can do this adjust colors thing again and just make it darker this way. I'm just going to say, I don't know if this is going to work, but maybe the saturation, a little bit more saturated, and let's keep the hue as is. I'm going to reset this, do it over. Let's see here, RGB intensity, let's make it a little bit, here we go, a little bit darker like that. And yeah, let's see what that looks like. Yep, that's better. And they're very uniformly colored. They're zero mesh, so there's really kind of not much to it. But what I'm going to do here is just kind of randomly go over, maybe pick a different color from here and just randomly kind of, these kind of fell from the explosions or whatever, then they're going to have a little bit of color on them as well. Right, so pretty simple, pretty straightforward, pretty fast. And one other thing I want to do here that I didn't do on this one is just maybe color these in a bit, these edges, just a little bit of color just to kind of break up. It's too much. Just kind of break up the edges a bit. Okay. All right, so that's done. Let's move on to the ground here. So this floor, I have it as a separate piece, and I'm just going to And the reason why I want it to be a separate piece is because I wanted the color to be different. But I have this exact same thing on the one below, just in case if it gets too heavy, I can reduce it. But I'm going to solo this out. This is what it looks like. This is just from one of the rocks that comes with ZBrush. I just basically expanded it and cut it to have this kind of shape. One thing I want to do here is maybe add a little bit more surface noise on here, just to kind of break it up. So I'm going to do that with surface and noise. That's kind of nice. That's good right there. I'm just, by default, I'm just going to accept this. So there it is, apply to mesh. There it is. So that gave me the nice pattern, but not the color for some reason. I don't know why. So let me do noise again. And is this, yeah, oh, I guess it's not giving me color variation. All right, so let's do a little bit of editing on this surface noise here. All right, there's kind of a weird line that's going this way, but that's not a big deal. I think it's just the scale. Let me see if I can, nope, not offset it this way, offset it this way, nope, offset it this way. Let's see if I offset it over to here, all the way to -1 if it goes away. Yeah, it's more on the edge, which is fine. And let's see if I change, the scale is at 1 already, so that's good. And then color blend, yeah, the color blend is on, okay. And is RGB on? It is. All right, so all this is good. Maybe just increase the strength just a little bit, not too much. Ah, 0.000002. Okay, nope, 0.002, and let's make that a negative. Let's see how that looks. Too much. Let's add one more 0 in there. There we go. And let me bump this up just a tad, 2.5. Here we go, perfect. Okay, let's say okay, there it is. And let's say apply to mesh. Okay, it is applying it to the mesh, but it's not applying the color, and I don't know why. Let's see here, edit. All right, strength by mass, there it is. Color blend is there. Why is it not adding the color to it? It could be because it is adding it, and I have color off. Let's see if that's the case. Yep, that is exactly what's going on here. All right, so apply to mesh. There it is. Now it has the color too. Solo that out. So this is kind of what this looks like. It's a little too uniform. So what I'm going to do here is do a masking and mask by cavity again. And I'm going to apply a lighter color to it. So something maybe like that. Fill object. That looks a little bit better. It still kind of looks very computer generated, especially if you look at it from far. But we're going to see this from up close, and it's not really going to matter that much. So I'm going to do that. It is still a little bit more pixelated than I'd like it to be, so I'm going to smooth it out. And to do that, I'm just going to turn Z-add off for smooth and just hit it. Here we go. And just, I don't know if you guys can see all this okay. I know there are some questions, and I'll answer them as soon as I kind of am done with smoothing this out. And shift. And I'm just kind of hitting it with smooth just in areas just to kind of break up the monotony of the computer generated pattern. I think this looks good enough. I don't know if it seems to me like this is too dark and too gray. So again, I'm going to adjust colors with this and see if I can do something with the hue here and go more into a reddish zone or a greenish zone. This is blue, this is blue. I think this is green, so red should be somewhere around here. Let's add a little bit more saturation here. Reduce the intensity a bit, and let's do a little bit more contrast. I wonder if that's going to be better or less contrast. Let's see what that looks like. That's fine. I think I like that a little bit more. Although I lost some coloration on here, but I think it's fine. All right, so that's done. Let's move on to this area down here. So again, this is going to be just these rocks over here. And again, I'm going to do mask by cavity. And that's going to mask all the cavities. I'm going to solo this out so we can see it. And that's kind of weird that it's doing the mask by cavity and not as intensely. So let me see if I can change this profile to get something better. Here we go. I think that's a little bit better. And then I just want to invert that mask and fill it with a color. All right, so that created a little bit of interest here for me. And then I'm going to mask by cavity again, but this time maybe pick a harsher angle like that. Okay, and then for this, I might use the same trick on the other piece because I like kind of some of the patterns that I'm getting over here. So I'm just going to switch that mask around, switch the color, fill object, and now I kind of have this type of thing happening. If I solo that out, so I can see that there is a little bit of difference. It still looks a little bit too white. So let's go ahead and clear that mask, do a mask by cavity again, and invert that mask, and do a fill object. See what we get now. Nope. All right, I don't know why I'm not getting what I want, but I can do one more time. Actually, I'm going to do mask peaks and valleys. Let's see what we get with that. Ooh, that's cool. All right, so I just want to invert that. I think I'm not inverting the mask. I need to use the mouse for it and then do fill object and do this. Here we go. That's kind of looking very interesting right there. And I'm going to do mask by cavity now and invert that mask and do another fill object and then do this. Oops. Right, so I've got kind of a darker color here, which is good. But I don't need it to be that dark, so here I can just go in. Look at how cool this looks. And then just kind of maybe reduce the RGB intensity. Oh, look at how cool that is. All right, I'm getting some really interesting effects, especially here I'm getting some great effects. I might just ignore the one that's on top and just use this instead because it looks much better. So let's do that. Go to geometry here, or subtool. And where is this ground piece? This one. Let's hide that. Oh yeah, that looks much better right there. All right, so that's kind of it. We're done with painting the environment. Let's bring our ivy back and see what that looks like. Do a kind of a test render and get an idea of what that looks like. Okay, that is looking good. And I've got perspective on. Let's do a quick test render of this. All right, just doing a simple BPR. And also, I don't really have any materials assigned to this, so I might want to test it out with a redshift material. So here I'm just going to go to, let's see, do I have one loaded up? Nope. I'll just go ahead and get it, comma, materials, redshift materials, my materials that I created. Let's just use this one right here. And so now this isn't really going to render out because I don't have redshift on, so I'm going to turn redshift on over here for render. And also, just so you guys know that with redshift, if you're doing initial renders, you can speed it up quite a bit by going into the redshift renderer over here and setting your error threshold to 0.5. So this will make the render go a lot faster. Okay, so let's see what the redshift render will look like. Oh, I should load in a HDR as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Find one from HDR Haven. Let's use this one for now. And I think that's all I need. Oh, well, I mean, I'm just going to run this and see what it looks like. It's going to take a few minutes, and then I can use that time to look through the questions. Had the problem of fading correctly from the direction of the light. Okay, all right, so here we go. That's the AO that got done. not the AO, but the whatchamacallits. And then so this is the render and what it looks like. I guess I could turn this background off. The render was pretty fast. Considering I've got all this ivy and grass and whatever, that render was lightning fast. And here's the second render, and that is looking good as well. All right, so in just a little bit of time like this, I was able to get a environment going. I'm going to try out this water, see if it works or not. I didn't know for sure if I wanted to do it or not, so I'm going to turn this on. Go to this object and pick a, let's see, is there water? Material, RS, water, no, aluminum. I think they need to kind of, let's see, simple glass. RS water, there is one. Okay, and I'm just going to go to mRGB and say fill object. So that is going to have that object on it, and then switch back to this. Let's see what that render will look like. All right, I'm getting some really cool, oh yeah, that's nice. So I kind of get a little bit of the, you know, the water effect here. Let's see if I zoom in, let's see what that will look like. I don't have that much of it. I could raise the level of the water. I might try that next. But yeah, these renders are pretty snappy. And I'm liking that a lot. So here we go. Yeah, you can kind of see the water over here. But it's not too obvious. So I might raise that floor up just a little bit. Let's see what that looks like. And you guys can see, like, in a very little bit of time, how long has it been? Like maybe less than an hour, we were able to kind of really spruce up this environment. I think that's okay. I think that'll work. Okay, so that's what was the first part of what we needed to do. And now I kind of need to switch back to the lighting that I had before. And the best way to do that is just to go to the render menu again, and ZBrush will store all the renders that you did. And here I'm just going to go all the way back to when I had the basic material, so I can just kind of continue to work from there. Okay, and now I'm done with the environment. I don't really need to do any more work there. I'm just going to hide the environment for now and hide the ivy. And what I want to do next is I want to start bringing out that mech. So I don't know why these environment pieces are still showing. Go away. All right. And let's bring our mech back. So here it is. I finished painting it. So there it is. And notice I've got everything broken out into folders just because that's how I'm going to pose this thing. So that's going to be the next thing I'm going to do, is doing the pose. And then after I'm done with the pose, I'm going to move this thing over down to bottom here. After I'm done with the pose, I'm going to go ahead and all right, let's just choose a lighter color here. Okay, so there it is. Now the paint isn't showing up because I have it turned off. So here I'm just going to do this, and now there is all the paint. I don't know if I need these yellow pieces. I'm going to hide this one, and I think the other one might be on the other leg, which is somewhere up here, hip, midsection. I guess I could always do the two ways of doing it. One is I press N, which will show all of them. And these are numbered, so the highest one is R5, I think, or L5, but it's not the highest one. I think it's easier just to point to it. Let's choose a move brush, point to it. It highlights it and just hide it. Okay, so we don't need to see that. And let's go back to the hull. And the reason why I have those objects, I guess I could show them. The reason why I have them is you'll know in a minute, and it's kind of important. And now I kind of wish I didn't hide the one that I did, but no worries. Okay, so here's the mech painted in all of its glory. So now we are going to go ahead. Oh, I've missed a spot. I missed 2 spots. So I missed these guys. So, nope. And they're not going to take too long to do. There's this one. I'll just fill them with a dark gray color. So let's just pick, I don't know, something like that. And RGB is on, fill object, bam, done. And then let's bring everything back. And then I think these buckles I didn't color either. So we'll do those as well. Pick one here, solo it out. Hopefully they're all of them, unmask them. And let's see, let's choose kind of a orangish color for that, fill object, and let's go out, and then let's just choose do the same thing with the ones here, fill object, there we go. All right, just a couple of minor details there that I hadn't done. I do have emissive materials in the light, so we're going to see that in a little bit. What's going on with this guy right here? So, right, so it's got some paint on it, but not really much. So I'm going to go ahead and bring everything back. I'll pick this darker color and let's just fill that object. There we go, maybe a little bit darker. It's masked. Okay, here we go. All right, that works. All right, so now let's start posing. And so to do that, the first thing I want to do is I kind of want to go from the hips, but I also want to make sure that I move the hull and the hips together. So this is going to be 100% really cool ZBrush stuff. So, yeah, let's see something here. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with the hull here, and I'm going to go ahead and bring up my gizmo, make sure that I don't have symmetry on, center it. Oh, I do have symmetry on, all right, so on the hull, okay. Center. I'm going to turn symmetry off, see if I can do it for everything for now. So let's see if this works. Nope, it does not. All right, no worries. Here we go. All right, so now if I rotate this, the whole mech will rotate, and I don't want to do that. Well, actually, I do want to do that. I want to rotate the whole mech. So as I'm rotating this, nothing's happening. But if I click on this, then I'm rotating the entire... All right, so let me do this. So now I can rotate the entire mech. It's... Oh, all right. So I've got some masked pieces that are causing some issues, and that's easy enough to solve. But I don't know what just happened with all the color. I should have saved before I did this, but I don't think it's that big. Oh, okay. Just the paint disappeared. All right, no worries. Now we're back. Okay, and what I want to do here is just make sure nothing is masked. And I think, let's see if this works. So I'm just going to do unmask like this, so nothing is masked. And then can I apply to all visible? I cannot. All right, so I'll just go through. It's not that big of a deal, and unmask. I think it was in the legs anyway. Let me see if it happens from just the top of the folder. Let's see if this works. 1, 2. Oh, you know what? I don't know why I didn't think about that, but there is a cool way of doing this by using Subtool Master. So Z plugin and Subtool Master. There it is, and let's launch it, and there should be apply visible, do visible, and I don't want to, well, let's do this too. Let's correct if there's duplicate names, and is there something that turns off the mask? Nope, but there was a way to do it. Delete invisible, let's see. Maybe it's on the root. Unmask, multi-pen, multi-insert, export, mirror, merge, fill, delete, high-res, low-res, scale, offset, do visible, show, hide, nanomesh, open. Okay. I think it maybe, did I just miss it? Clear mask? No. There is a way to do it on all the subtools, and for some reason I can't remember it. If anybody remembers in the chat, let me know. Masking, and I can. I think that's, does it do clear? Clear all. Is there a clear all? No. But this is a lot faster, so I just can go to the top subtool here, click on it, and then I can just do this, which is kind of not a fun way to do it, but it'll be pretty fast. I'm using the arrow keys just to go down with the subtools and clearing all the masks. It's not that many subtools, so it's not a big deal. Still on the hull. I think the problems were in the legs, not in the body, but might as well do all of it. Right. All right, we're still in the hip area. All right, we're starting on the legs, so it'll go pretty fast from this point on. I think there was a way to do clear all. Oh, I see what you're saying. Do a clear and then see if it says apply. Oh, yeah, here we go. Yes, 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 yes. That's how to do it. Okay. Thank you, Rowney Vieira. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, here we go. Fantastic. So, you know, sorry to take up some of that time, but now we're done. So here, let's go back up to the hull here and go to the center. Let's click on this center. There it is. And let's do everybody. And then let's do a little bit of rotation here. Okay, another thing I can do to make life faster is I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to click on all low. It's not going to look as good, but it's a lot faster to manipulate lower subdivision. Let's see if that makes it any faster. Yep, a little bit faster. Okay, so there it is. All right, that's a little bit too much. So I just want a little bit of an angle to it, like that. Actually, you know what? The hull kind of always stays put, so I'm just not going to deal with the hull here. So I'm going to leave the hull be. So the way to do that is I'll just go in here and say transpose sub. So that's going to make the hull not be part of that. And same thing with the guns, transpose sub, and guns front, transpose sub. Okay, so that's just basically subtracting it from what moves, right? And then this part, I don't want to have it move either. So hip, where is it, midsection? Let's go ahead and add that, subtract that as well. So these are kind of the things that I'm going to move. So let's first start out with one of the legs. So I'm just going to go ahead and subtract the other legs from this list. So the legs are in 4 different pieces. So I'll start with left leg here, And let's go ahead and subtract that one. Sub, transpose sub, transpose sub, and transpose, oh, okay. What have we subtracted? We subtracted that, okay. Well, we didn't want to subtract this one. Somehow things are out of order. Let's look at it this way. So left leg, actually here, I'm just going to go back to everything here, and instead of doing it this way, I'm going to, instead of subtracting it, I'm going to make it all non-movable, and then just add the ones that I want. So I'll start with the left leg here, over here, and transpose add. The one underneath it, transpose add, and transpose add. And lastly, but not leastly, the foot, transpose add. Okay, so I've got this whole thing now. And also notice that my gizmo is exactly where I want it to be, which is at the center of that sphere that I have in there. And so now, well, actually, I want to add one more thing to this, which is hip left. Okay, and I want to add that to the transpose as well. Okay, and now that exactly is where I want it to be. So then this opens up like so. And there it is. So while I do that, all the other parts will move along with it. And you can already see just by that little bit of change there, I'm getting so much more character in this mech. All right, so let's do that first. And then let's perspective on. I'm going to turn perspective off so I can make sure that these are on the ground. Okay, and then I want to rotate the foot. So then I just go to hip here. And let's say, can I rotate this? I can. I'll probably rotate it a bit this way. All right, so the hip is rotated that way, and you can see here that it's kind of, everything else is doing its own thing. All right, so then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to not mess with the hip anymore. So I do transpose there, and I'm just going to go up to leg upper right. Oh, no, upper left. I should move that hip down. I'll do that right now. So it's kind of right on top of this. Okay, here we go. Now I've got the leg. This one is going to be the next thing. Not left, but right. Okay, what? Leg, upper left. Okay, so what happened here is that the gizmo is still kind of where it was before. But not a problem. I can just go to this top sphere and just center the gizmo on top of that. I'm good to go. And now I can just rotate this up or rotate it down. So I kind of have to figure out a good pose for this. Let's say I rotate it back a bit like that. And also this is a ball joint, so I can rotate it out if I need to. I think that kind of made it wonky, so let's just bring it back to what it was before. And you can see here the posing is so cool in ZBrush to be able to do this exact action. All right, like that. And then I will go to this one here and add it to the subtraction so it's not going to move, and then move on to this part. Now again, this is not lining up. Not a problem. I've got a kind of an object here. I'll just go there, center the pivot on it. So now it's there, and then I can choose to have this go back. I don't think that's a bit too much, maybe about there. And again, I always need to kind of check with the floor here just to make sure that I can kind of level this off. I think that's good enough. All right, so I'm just going to go to this over here and subtract it from the transpose list. Now this all would be easier if I had some sort of rig or whatever, but this really, it doesn't take that long. And plus, like, I'm dealing with millions of polygons, so it's all good. All right, so let's go to leg middle left here. Again, not lining up, but I can choose this. Okay, so that's that. We don't need this. We need to subtract this part. So subtract. There it is. Now we move to the ankle. Okay, and then with the ankle, again, it's not where I want it to be, but just as simple as clicking on this kind of home button here to bring it, the gizmo over to it, and then rotate that. Again, maybe something like this. And then that's good. So now I just subtract that from the transpose list and then move down to the foot. Okay, so there's the foot. Select that piece, move the gizmo to it. And now what I want to do is I want to make sure that the foot is staying above the ground. It'd be cool if it could do more, but I think this is kind of all it needs to do right here. Now I don't have a separate thing for these toes, but I think this is good enough. I kind of like it more at an angle, so I might lift up the upper leg some more. So again, all I got to do is just work myself back up, so I can add this up, go to this ankle and add that back, transpose add, and let's choose this piece, but this one. And the gizmo should be where I need it to be, and let's make sure that's added, transpose add. Okay, and I just want to rotate this in such a way where the toe is kind of more lifted, like that. And then, so transpose sub, and then I just want to work the ankle a little bit too. So let's just go to the ankle here, go to this, and do this bit of rotation. Here we go. That worked out perfectly. All right, so this leg is kind of up like this. And now let's just say these are digging into the ground. It's fine. Like that. That is cool. All right, so that's kind of that leg. And then this one, it needs to move forward and be more planted. Actually, something happened with the foot where it rotated for some reason. Okay, so I'm just kind of, let me put that back there. And I'm going to try and get the foot to be where I want it. Well, I can do it separately. So let me go back to the foot left here. And let's go over this way. And I don't need the ankle, so I'm going to transpose sub the ankle, and for some reason I rotated the foot. I don't know when I did that, so let me see if I can undo it in any way, shape, or form. Okay, and let me see if I can just rotate it back. Here we go. Yeah, I don't know how and when that happened, but easy enough to fix it. All right, so this is kind of how the foot is going to be. This part's going to be digging into the ground, which is fine. And we just need to work on the other leg now. And this looks much better. Right? Yep. Just maybe a little bit more. I'm being really nitpicky here, but it's kind of... We'll make it look better. Okay, so that's that. Yeah, somehow it moved down. That's weird. I must have done something really messed up with this. So I have to kind of put it back where it is. Here we go. That's pretty much what it was like. Just a little bit more of a rotation this way, and I think we're good. Okay. All right, let's make sure I don't do that on the other leg. Right, I think. Nope, that was good. Okay. All right, so that's that. All right, so that leg is looking really good. And then let me start working on the other leg. So let's go back to W. And let's add this foot to the subtract, and then we'll move on to the right leg. So we'll start with the hip. There it is. And let's subtract that. Okay, what did we just subtract? Why is it not showing up? Okay, let's see, transpose add. Okay, so that's the leg we want, that's right. And then we want to do the same with everything underneath it. So transpose add, transpose add, transpose add, transpose add. Okay, so we got all these pieces. And now for this one, again, I want to rotate it outwards. Maybe not that much. Maybe a little bit, just like that. That's cool. All right. And then let's move down by one. And this is kind of fun because it's kind of like how they did Star Wars, where they did animatronics or whatever. So this is kind of using that same way of doing it. So here I'm just going to go down one level, subtract this one. Okay, so now we just have this part. And again, the gizmo is not really where I want it to be, but easily fixed. I just go to this object, center it. Hello. I don't know why it's going there. Let me solo it out just to make sure we're dealing with it. Oh, where am I? Somehow it got to the guns? How did it go to the guns? All right, let's go over to here, this guy. Right, hip R. It's not the hip that we want. We want leg upper right. We want this one. And we want the gizmo to be centered on it. Okay. Still not doing it. Do I have symmetry on? No. Solo. Okay, I don't know why it's on that hip. Leg upper right. That's why. Okay, here we go. And center this. All right. After all that, here we are. And now this one is going to be rotated a little bit forward. Like this. Let's just make sure it's rotating the right way. And maybe just a little bit like that. Okay, so there it is. Okay, that's good. And we're not going to have to do that much work on this one. So here I'm going to subtract that. So there's that. And then we move to this part, center the gizmo on it. And then this is going to just go down just a tiny bit. I don't have to do anything with the ankle, so subtract that. Move down to here, select this guy, move the gizmo to it. And so now the ankle I don't really need to do much work with, but maybe I can do this like that. And what does that do? It kind of raises the whole thing up a bit, which is good. I think that looks good right there. I don't think I need to do much else. I think that's perfect for kind of a neat pose for the mech. So, all right, so we got our pose done. Let's bring everything back. And then let's move this to, I'm just gonna do that to it. So it's all available. And now I wanna just bring the environment back. Okay, so there's the ground. Let's do all high here. Let's get everything back into high resolution. All right, there's that. And then what I'm going to do now is just do a quick save just because we did a lot of work. I don't want to lose it. So I'll do that. Nobody has any questions? What's going on? There's enough of you on there watching. Somebody should have some question somewhere or something to say. These are, you know, my streams are getting quieter and quieter. I need to figure out a way to get you guys to participate more. Otherwise, it's just me sculpting. I might as well just record it and put it on and not have it be interactive, which will not be fun for me or you. So. All right. Okay, so there's the environment. I don't know why the top part isn't showing up. I guess just need to bring, oh, did I? Yeah, it's here. Boom, there's that. Okay, so we've got that showing up now. And let's bring up the ivy. All right, so here is our full scene. And I don't have the guy showing up, do I? No. It'll be nice to add some stormtroopers or whatever to this, but I think this is kind of cool the way it is. All right, so now that I've got everything here and everything is pretty much ready to go, now we got to kind of do our render. But I also, before I do that, I got to find some good camera angles, and for that I'm going to use my Space Mouse, this device right here. Let me make my screen bigger so you can see it. It's working. Here we go. Yep, this thing right here. So the Space Mouse is really kind of the best device I've found to make it work, to kind of find a good camera angle. So the first thing I'm going to do is, before I move the mech, I'm just going to find a good kind of camera angle for where I want to place. So first, let me just kind of get to a specific look, maybe like that. And let's go over to here. Oh, one other thing I also want to do here is just go to Movie, Timeline, and Show. So let's add the timeline here so we can find some good camera angles. I've got perspective on. Let's turn that on. My focal length is 100, which is good for like something like a mech. And I'm going to move the mech. It's not going to be where it is. So right now, I just need to find out a good angle to get this background image in there. And this seems to be kind of a good one. Maybe something like this. All right, so now I'm just going to use the Space Mouse just to, oops. It's a little bit too sensitive. I tweaked the settings before. So let's see if we can get a Dutch angle on this, if that would make it look cooler. And yep. So now I'm just using the Space Mouse just to kind of get a nice precise angle. We definitely want to see more of the mech, right? So let's do another angle. I should have added that as a... how much is the Space Mouse? I don't know. There's different versions of it. What you could do is go to 3D Connection. Here, let me go to it, and I'll show you where you can find it. So if you just go to there we go. Right. So it's the one that I have. This one's about $280. It looks like, but this is the website. So there are all these different sizes. I have this one right here. I don't have the one with the buttons. It's a little bit of an overkill for me. But this one right here is, I think, the sweet medium. And the reason why I like it is because you can kind of rest your palm on it. But I also have one of these portable ones that I take to different locations if I'm on location working, freelance or whatnot. I use one of these little ones. So I have one of these little ones, and I also got the kind of the bigger one. This one, not the one with the buttons and everything, but this one right here. And I should kind of come up with their names here. So if you go to Space Mouse here, I think this one is the Space Mouse Pro. They have wireless versions as well, but I got the wired version. It's not that big of a deal because it's, it doesn't really make that big of a difference. But this is it right here. This is the one I showed you guys. But I also have one of these as well, just because it's kind of useful. So here, I'll add this in the, I'll add this link in the chat. So if anybody's interested, you can find out. And you can find them on Amazon or whatever as well. They have great stuff. I use their mice, and I also have one of their keyboards on one of my computers, and their keyboard is stellar. This thing is a really, really good keyboard. And a little known thing also, by the way, they're not sponsoring me or anything. I'm just, these are things that I use. But another thing that they also have is a mouse pad that I really, really like. That this one right here is super, super useful. So anyway, 3D Connection, I put the link in there. And then the other thing I also wanted to mention too, since we talked about it, is this Ivy Pro plugin. If you guys are interested, it's pretty cheap. It's $3.50, which is a steal, I think. It's a great thing to use. And the commercial license is like 50 cents more. So it's definitely a cool thing to use. And all you got to do is watch these 2 short videos and you'll be able to use it. So anyway, I'll mention that in there too. All right, so back to our scene here. So this is kind of what we have. Let me see what my document size is. So my document size is, that's good. That's good for the document size. So I think this is kind of going to be the first one. So I'm just going to add one camera view here. So that's one. And then let's find another one that's kind of cool. Let's go to the other side. I think I'm in the water. There we go. Oh. I don't know why it zoomed on that. It zoomed on I'm upside down. Oh. Okay. Here we go. All right, so let's just find another angle. Maybe something like this is cool. There we go. I'm going to have to lift the mech up a bit, but let's find another angle. So here again, I'm using the space mouse just to kind of get a good, good angle. Let me move it over this way a bit. Oops. I think I went a little bit too much. I really need to play around with the sensitivity. Since I got my new computer, I had my settings on my old computer for the space mouse to be a little bit more kind of forgiving, but on my new computer, I don't have those settings. I should go get them. All right, so something like this maybe for this one, but rotate it around. All right. Something like that. Okay, let's add that as a second angle. Maybe there. And then let's do a close-up of the mech. Maybe something like that. Zoom out a bit, and that's a good third angle. So we are just kind of coming up with some good camera angles for this. And then let's see if a top-down one works good. And then we'll render these in a minute. So I'm just trying to find out a good top-down one that doesn't kind of show that there's a gap. Well, this kind of works. Maybe just lift this up, zoom in, and again, just use the space mouse to just get that perfect angle. And again, I'm going to lift the mech up in a minute, but let's just add this as an angle. So that's 4, and that should be good enough. All right, so and then I can just go between all the different angles just by moving the timeline to where I want it to go. Now, another way of doing this exact same thing is to store cameras. So you can also go in to the, I think it's a draw menu, and you can, yes, so you can go in here and store different cameras for this. Okay, so I think we are good. And now all we need to do is just kind of do a little bit of play with the materials and get a good HDR and render this thing in Redshift. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my render menu here and go in these renders to where I had Redshift going, which I think, did I keep that? Is this a Redshift render? I don't remember, no. Oh. Yeah, it was. So this was the water render that I did, right? I think so. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go to all these materials and let's just do a quick render, see what we get. Oh, I need to hide all those yellow joints. Easy enough to do. I'll do that next. But let's just get a render just to see what happens. Okay. Have I ever been involved in a project at a well-known studio? Many, yeah. There's so many of them nowadays. I mean, it's like, you know, you could be working on a thing for Weta, but you could be at a smaller studio, or you could be working on a thing for any of the big studios, and you could be working at an independent small company. But yeah, my work is all over the place. All right, so this first render usually takes a bit longer, if you guys remember, right? So let's let it do its thing. And see what we get. Right, so again, right now the render quality isn't going to be the best because I'm just kind of doing the base renders. And I could probably do a depth of field here. It does have the capability. Maybe I'll do that as well. But let's see how we get, what kind of render we get out of this. Here we go. That is the AO. And then the render will kick in a minute. There we go. Yeah, baby, that's awesome. Got to get rid of those yellow objects. But for the most part, that is looking pretty decent. Of course, I can always go in with Photoshop and add a few more things, do a little bit of paint over, but that right there is looking pretty decent. All right, so before I forget, let me get rid of all those objects. I think the hip had one, so hide that. This upper leg had one, but it's hidden already, which is good. Let's hide that one. Move down, hide that one. Move down, hide that one. So these are just objects I put in there in yellow just so I could select them for when I needed to pose it. Hide that as well. One thing I should have done is save this before I posed it too, but it's fine. I can always get that back. It's not that big of a deal. Right, that one's gone. This one, hide that. And go in here, and I think that's all of them. Right, I can see kind of a few over here. So let's do one more. Oh, yeah, the foot here. And then this one, ankle, it's not there. Leg, not there. This one, not there. This hip, not there. Foot right, not there. Ankle right, nope. Good, good. I think that's all. Just make sure. Okay. Hip right. What about hip left? Yeah, it's all hidden. Okay, so now we got exactly what we want. So now we can do some adjustments. So let me do another render. This render will happen a lot faster. And again, remember, these renders are not, they're not kind of fully flushed out. I see the ankle one over here. We missed one. Maybe it's because it's selected. That's why. All right, it's fine. I'll just let it do its render, and then I will hide it. And then we just have to move the mech up so the feet show, and then we're good. All right, let's see. So Abiyu, you're asking some pretty kind of pointed questions. I'm just kind of curious as to what you do. Do you work for major studios? If you're still with us, I think you should be. All right, here we go. AO. And the render should happen pretty fast. Now, you guys have to think about the fact that we are dealing with 111 million polygons here that we're rendering. So ZBrush is really kicking ass. I'm pretty happy with what it's doing. Right, here we go. Awesome render. That's great. Okay, so now, first things first, I want to make sure that I'm not on this. That's why it's showing up. A little bit of it yellow is showing up here. And then what I want to do is move on to some other random object. Okay, that disappeared. And now we want to move the mech up. And to do that, I have to do the same exact thing where I just, I can always get back to this camera angle. Not a big deal. So I'm just going to zoom out here. I'm going to go to the gizmo, and I am going to make sure that none of it is selected. And then just add these pieces. It's not that many, so it should go fast. So transpose add, 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 add. Yeah, I mean, to me, honestly, like this takes a little bit of time, but it takes less time than rigging it, right? And if I'm going to do multiple poses, all I need to do is go back to my base pose and do another pose. It's pretty easy to do. I'd written scripts to do this before, but with this method, it's a lot faster. All right, let's see if there's a piece. Okay, there's a few pieces we need to add still. Transpose add, transpose add, transpose add, transpose add, transpose add. And I think that's all, right? Do we have all the entire mech? Yep. And so what I want to do is just move the mech up a bit. Like so. So its feet are up above the ground. I mean, if I'm going to animate it or whatever, I don't usually do the animation. I usually give it to somebody to do the animation, so I don't really care. I'm just kind of getting some sort of a compositional picture here of this version of the ATST that I made. Okay, so we messed up here. We forgot to select this part, so I'm just going to undo it back to where we were and make sure I add that part to it. Okay, there we go. And the one part that I forgot to do is this one right here. Transpose add. All right, here we go. Now we got everything. Go up and just let's move it all upward to about there. Again, 11 million polygons. No other program does this. Not Blender, not Maya, not Houdini. None of these programs can handle this much geometry and be able to do what I'm doing now. So not only that, but like, you know, I can render it. I don't have to bake anything. I don't have to do anything at all. I just basically just move this to where I want it to go. And yeah. And I'm going to add a little bit of a rotation to it as well, just so it's not head on. Here we go. All right, so let's go back to our camera angle, see what we got there. Okay, so this kind of messed up our camera angle a bit. So I'm going to erase that camera angle, and I'm going to use my space mouse to just rotate around. Actually, I don't really need to do this anymore. And I lost that camera angle. That's fine. Here we go. We'll find a new one. That was the one that had a little bit of a Dutch angle, which is this. Right there, and let me do a little bit of rotation, like so. Now the thing is, the background here is going to show, but I can always put a card or something behind there. It's not a big deal. So here's one angle. Let's do a few more. So finding the right angle is fun for a render. By the way, this is the most fun part, and I'm only going to spend one stream session on it. But this part, I should maybe revisit at some point. If there's enough interest, I can do another one of these where basically it's just, you know, finding good camera angles and doing renders. Let's zoom in. Yeah, there we go. Here's another one. All right, let's see what the other angles look like. How about this one right here? That still looks good. Although he's kind of covering that area behind him, which kind of sucks. But we can just kind of rotate it a bit like this. Here we go. We got a kind of a POV view. Let's pop one of these here. What does this one look like? That still works good. And this one still works good. Okay, so now we got our camera angles. We got everything is good to go. Well, let's do some renders. So I'm going to go to this one right here. Okay, and shoot off a render. You're still a student. Okay, I do ever work in a couple of projects before. One, okay, government project. Okay, do you have an art station? Yeah, Abiyu, I do have an art station. So if you go to my art station here, a lot of the work that I do with kind of projects, studios and whatnot, are not my own. So I don't usually share them in my ArtStation. Oh, here we go. Sorry, that's my Instagram. By the way, my Instagram is kind of the best way to find me because there's a link tree on here, and the link tree will link you to all of my stuff, right? So you can see my portfolio, which is on ArtStation. So why am I? Oh, here we go. So this is my ArtStation right here. I'll put that in the chat as well, so you guys can see it. There it is. So yeah, if you go to my ArtStation, you can kind of see the different types of projects I've worked on. I like mechs a lot. I also like cars and vehicles and whatnot, but I also do characters. Here's some ones that I did in ZBrush and did the non-photorealistic render. And also, this was my piece in the ZBrush Sculpt Off, which is coming up again, and all of you can participate. So do that. And I think there's a link on top here where you can sign up and participate. You can win some great prizes and also have your work be seen. But in my day, when I did this, it was not online. It was in person. So we had to go sit in a room with a bunch of amazing artists, and we had about maybe 3 hours to do this. So that's on my website as well. Got a bunch of mechs, characters. You guys can have fun looking at all this stuff. This here is from a Gnomon workshop that I did that basically goes through my entire process. If you guys want to kind of learn how to do what I do, this would be a great one to go see. And so if you go to the Gnomon workshop and look for me, just do a search for my name. If you just do a search for Ara, I'll show up. And it's this title right here, which basically goes through and shows, oh, they have 15% off, which goes and shows you how to do this. So these are the different chapters. I start out in VR and then just build out the model. And you can kind of see some screens here. I load it into Substance Painter and paint it up and then render it in Keyshot. We did not have redshift then, so I did it all in Keyshot, UV'd everything. So this would be a really great title to look for on the Gnomon workshop. You can watch it, and I have another title on here as well, which is photogrammetry and retopology. So these are my two titles there. And also on Gumroad, I do have some primitives you can download. There's one that has 17 primitives that's free. And then I have another one that has 36 primitives that is for pay. But most people don't really need all the extra things that come on here, so you can just get this one. You can also get my UI colors for free, and that's all on my Gumroad. And again, to get out to all these, if you just go to my Instagram and click on my link tree, it gives you the link to all of these, right? And let me put my link tree in the chat as well to make it easier for you guys. All right, so hopefully that answers the ArtStation question. Here we go. Here's the render. Okay, so let's do some tweaks to this. It looks good, pretty much, but we can make some adjustments here. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust and maybe adjust the contrast a bit. Maybe a little bit more, so like this, and then maybe the brightness. Okay. Now, one thing that'll help is if I have this background be black. So let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and choose a darker background. I'm going to go all the way black, but maybe to there, and then let's do this. And then let's render it again. And then maybe I'll try a couple of HDRs to see if I get any better results. Okay. So could somebody tell me what the deal is with these word colon things? Abby, you kind of put one in there. I don't know what that stands for. I might not have kind of caught on to that internet trend. There's so many. It's hard to keep up with everything. There we go. Yeah, it looks much better with the background being dark. And I can probably with Photoshop add a little bit of a glare to that as well. Oh, it makes emojis. I see. I see what's going on. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for answering that question, Horizon. Although I don't see the emojis, so I don't know. Maybe you see them? I don't know. Okay, so here we go. I'm kind of liking this, but I kind of feel like this is interfering with the background a bit. So I'm just going to rotate this just a smidge like that. Okay. And let's pop another one of these here, take this one out, And I'm just going to render that one more time. So we see that the renders are taking a lot less time every time I render. The first time it kind of chugs along, but then every subsequent time after that with redshift, it works really, really great. Okay. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how this happened. It's 10 episodes. Each one is about 2 hours. I think one of them I went a little bit over. So in about like 20 hours, you can watch me kind of create this thing from scratch. I did do a little bit of work off camera, but not that much. So, 20 hours takes me about a week or so to do something like this. And again, I've got this render quality not at its fullest, so I can go and change that in a little bit once we get things we're happy with. Okay, so that looks good. Let's try a different HDR here, just for kicks. So I'm going to go ahead and choose like some sort. I'm getting these from HDR Haven, these HDRs. So I'm going to choose like an outdoor one. Let's see what it looks like with the industrial sunset HDR. Right? So here I'll just run it again. I think of all the different streams that I've done, this kind of is one of the better ones, just because I've done so much. I mean, we created the environment in almost no time, and then we also posed the mech, and we're doing the rendering. So there's like 3 different things in one stream. Usually it's either modeling or painting. All right, here we go. Yeah, I'm liking this a lot. All right. Okay, I don't know. Oh, I know why. Because the background, I left it on. Sorry about that. One more. I think maybe if I add a gradient in the background, that might make it look interesting too. I don't know. We can try different things. We got a good 20 minutes left. We can play around with this. And if I get one render off, I think I'll be good. And then we can do more renders as things move forward. What I would love is if there would be a GoZ solution that I could press a button and it sends this whole thing into Unreal. That would be unreal. It'd be really cool. All right, here we go. Yeah, liking that a lot. All right, let's see if I can play around with the contrast a bit. Just a little bit like this, makes it cooler. And then brightness, just a little bit brighter. That's good. And then remember, there's the BPR filters as well. So let's go ahead and do a few of those. A little bit of noise. I think it's got enough noise, so we don't need that. How about, we don't need blurring. Do we need sharpening? A little bit of sharpening looks actually good. The 4th filter here is Orton, and Orton is okay. I think this bit of Orton looks good. So again, I'm just messing out with these filters that make it look a little bit better. And then here, how about glow? Does glow do anything? A little bit, kind of highlights these little lights over here. Okay, so that's good. And then I think that's all I wanted to do. All right, so we'll call this one render. And the cool thing is now it's saved. I don't really need to go ahead and save it. It's in my render list. Up here, so I can go back to it if I want to. And then let me move the camera a little bit to here. Okay, and then let's choose a different BPR for this one. So I'm going to go in here, import. Let's see if there's an evening one. Okay, there's a night one. Let's see what that looks like. BPR. Yeah, these HDRs are great on HDR Haven. I remember I used to pay a lot of money to get a good HDR, and now you can get some great free ones right from there. Right, here we go. Another thing I'm thinking of doing is once I got done with these renders, I'm going to create a ZBrush Central post and put the renders in there, and also put a link to all the videos in sequence so people can kind of find it easily. Here we go. Oh, that kind of looks cool. A little bit of a night scene. Again, I forgot to turn the background off, but it kind of works here. It's kind of blurred. It's fine. Okay, I'm going to do another render with it off, and this render should go a lot faster. So mist and stuff I can't do yet in ZBrush, and the redshift in ZBrush doesn't do volumes yet, but I'm sure they'll add it at some point. Because if I just use regular redshift, they do volumes perfectly. Excuse me. But what I can do is I can add that in Photoshop afterwards, which should be pretty straightforward, which I probably will do. Add some atmospheric stuff. It'll look great. All right, here we go. This will look a little bit better. So here is that next render. It's cool. All right, so let's move on to a different pose. How about this one right here? And it's kind of cool. The reason why I like using timeline is you can also go in between poses. So like I just found a pose here that's pretty neat. I might use that for a render. But let's go over to this pose right here. This is a good one. All right, and then look, I'm going to choose a different HDR just for, well, actually, I'm just going to do this HDR. Let's see how that comes out. All right, anybody else have any comments? Kenneth, are you still with us? I know you kind of came in at the beginning. I got to hand it to my machine too. My computer is like doing all the stuff at once. It's using ZBrush, it's doing the rendering, it's streaming, and hopefully you guys are not losing any frames. It's pretty straightforward. Right, here we go. Here's another one. All right, that looks cool. There's another render. Let's move on to the next. That's a cool one right there. How about that right there? Let's do a render there. So it's kind of nice to be able to jump between the different stages, kind of just, you know, move the timeline cursor and just find something in between too that looks good. Right, so I just fired off another render. And then once I'm done, I'll do a render with like the error not being so high, the error threshold or whatever it's called, and we can get a better, you know, actually it's not. It's actually not sweating it at all. I mean, I don't hear the fans going for the GPU, and I think it's kind of just, you know, doing it at kind of a nice clip. All right, so here it would be nice to add a different, I like the shadow on the wall, but it would be nice if that shadow was harsher. I could play around with that for a future render, but let me go ahead and choose a different HDR. Let's go ahead and use kind of something like this maybe. Another 4K HDR. How about this one? Okay, good. And let's pick a different angle as well. Let's pick that one. I could just lower it just a tad. And let's launch that render. And again, it might take a tiny bit longer just because I added an HDR, but it's really not been, the renders are not as time consuming as I thought they would be. Right, here we go. Interesting enough, I just noticed that this foot is a little bit off the ground, so I might need to lower the mech a little bit, or maybe even lift the environment up, one of the two. Oh yeah, look at that, so cool. Yeah, this shows up pretty harsh though. I like this HDR. I think this one's a keeper. Okay, so good. So to kind of hide my mistake here, I either can lower the mech, or I can just kind of hide that issue with this little bit of grass here. Yeah, here we go. I think I'm just going to render this with the highest settings and call it a night. So let me go in here in the render settings. Actually, let me drop a quick save here just for kicks. And then the thing I'm looking for is as soon as the save is done, I have a good GPU. I have a A6000, I think it's called. It's a Quadro, and it comes with the Dell that I have. So I have a Dell computer, a 3660, which has been a great computer. I really enjoy using it, but it came with that GPU, and it's pretty good. I have a 3080 that I used before that, and it was pretty good too. What just happened? Hello? Right, the quick save happened. That's what happened. I was thinking I was rendering, but I was quick saving. Right, and I don't know where my screen went. I think if I just touch it, it'll come back. Here we go. Oh, here we go. All right, and then now, to get kind of a nice kind of finished render, I'm going to go here in the render settings under redshift renderer, and this error threshold I have is at 0.5. So let's change that down to 0.05 maybe. I don't know if that's better or worse. Let me see here if it says anything. Larger number, faster. Okay, so smaller number is not as fast. All right, and let's shoot off this render. It'll take a little bit of time. Yeah, the fade filter you could do that. Yes, you know, I'll do that, Henry. Good suggestion. What you can do is you can kind of fake it by, and you can also do depth of field. So I'll try printing that. You know, I could do with that. I could work in that live. I don't have to, you know, render it every time. So once the render is done, I can play around with that capabilities, see if I can get a more interesting effect. Right, here we go. Again, not that long, even though I kind of made the render settings a lot better. It looks a lot better too. Looks so much more crisp. All right. Kind of wish the mech was a little bit more forward so I could add more atmospherics to it, but yeah. I could almost hear the pew pew sounds happening. I don't know if anybody else is excited about Ahsoka, not Ashoka, but I'm really excited to watch that next week. So I guess this is a good time to finish a Star Wars thing to commemorate that. Okay, so now I'm done with this. So the thing we were talking about is going into the BPR filters, so going back into there. And I think there is a fade. I don't know if there's a fade filter. So let's go ahead and go into here, turn this on. Yeah, there's a fade filter, and this is it. Okay, so what I could do is I could do it by mask. So let me see what it does. Just kind of, all right. So let's kind of get the fade that we want, but then I don't want it on the whole mech. So then what I could do is I can, let me see if I can remember how to do this. I think it's the depth slider that controls what is faded and what's not. Here we go. I have to find, I think you can drag and drop. Nope, I guess not. I kind of forgot how to do this, but let's see if I can do it this way. Depth A, depth B, and then see if this kind of goes between the two. Yep, here we go. Yeah. There, perfect. Woohoo! I didn't forget how to do it. So basically what you do is you pick a depth. So I just drag from here and drop to where it is. So I just dropped it onto this rock, and depth B was the mech. And then this kind of makes it fade a little bit. And I can probably do the blur the same way. Let's try doing that too. So here I'm going to pick blur to kind of create a fake depth of field. So where is blur? Blur. Here it is. And what we're going to do here is go in and do the same thing. Pick this to be here and pick this to be in the front of the mech. And let's kind of increase the blur to be like ridiculous amounts. It's not doing anything. How come? Hello? Nope. I should have left these be for a minute. Okay, let's try and do it this way. Yeah, I don't know why it's not working. Okay, I'm not going to do this filter. I'll do another one. Blur. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just blur the crap out of it. Is this the most it does? I guess. Wow. I don't know why it's not doing more of it. Increase the, here we go. Here we go. This is what we want. I just didn't have the radius enough. Okay, so there it is. Okay, and then we do the depth A, depth B, and then we just mess with this. Here we go. Yeah, baby. All right, maybe depth B could be a little bit further back. Okay, yeah, look at that. All right, and maybe the blur is a bit too much, so we just reduce it a bit. And that kind of, you know, adds a little bit more atmospherics to it. But yeah, I'm really digging how this is looking. And I think we'll just kind of call it the end. Okay, let's see. Some last minute questions here. Okay, good. And then I feel like Disney's pumping a lot of too much stuff right now, and not all of it is great. I agree. But what is good is really good. Like, you know, I thought Andor was spectacular. If you guys haven't watched Andor, go watch it. It is really, really good. Obi-Wan was okay. I liked it. Mandalorian is always good. Book of Boba Fett was kind of a dud. So yeah, I mean, you know, just like anything else, you know, you have good days, you have bad days, you have good shows, you have bad shows. But overall, I'm really happy that Disney's pumping out more stuff. Like when I was a kid and I saw Star Wars, when the first 3 happened, I thought that was the end of it, right? I mean, there were no more Star Warses, but then more came out afterwards and they were not as good. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's debatable. Some people like those ones. And then the sequels came out. And that's another debatable thing. Some people liked it and some people didn't, but it's kind of nice to have it in the streaming service. I'm kind of happy that that franchise is kind of healthy and going. My son and I are watching Clone Wars again, and I hadn't watched all of it, and it's really good too. So is the Bad Batch, so are the anime Star Wars things. So there's a lot of great Star Wars stuff to watch, and hopefully you guys are enjoying them. And hopefully you guys also enjoyed the stream and, you know, got some good information out of it. And with that, I will wish you all a good evening or day or whatever time of day it is where you are. And happy ZBrushing. We'll see you in 2 weeks with a brand new project.